Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. She did it again that Tuesday night. Walked in, dropped her toad on the counter, didn't kiss hello, didn't ask about my day. She held up her phone with a picture of a beach cabana and said, "So, can you move the bonus over? I want to book before the price jumps." I stared at the pan on the stove. Pasta clung to the sides. "We're eating in 10 minutes. I'll eat on the plane." She waved off. "Can you transfer or not? That's the greeting now." She shrugged. "I's already back on the screen. I texted you 3 times." I shut the burner off. I saw them. They weren't questions, they were invoices. "If you're going to be sensitive, I'll just use the card," she said, reaching for her wallet. "Don't," I told her. "We need to talk about the card." If I'd known where it was headed, I'd have recorded the whole week like a training film on how respect exits a home. But I didn't. I just set the pasta down and prepared to be the bad guy who doesn't fund the vacation mood board. "Talk about what?" she said without looking up. "About limits," I answered. "And about what we're actually doing here when we're in the same house." She laughed once. "We're eating pasta and you're being dramatic." "Then hear the simple version," I said, pulling out a chair. "Joint account stays for the mortgage and utilities. Personal spending goes on personal accounts, yours and mine. I'm done subsidizing hobbies." She blinked at me like I'd switched to a foreign language. "Are you serious?" "Yeah. That's not how marriages work." "Maybe not yours," I said, "but it's how mine is going to." She set the phone down, finally meeting my eyes. "You know what it looks like? Control." "It looks like a boundary," I replied. "If there's anything behind the shopping and the trips, I'm here for it. If not, the budget will reflect that." "That's insulting." "What's insulting," I said evenly, "is coming home, turning your back to me in bed, and only remembering I exist when the flight deals drop." She stood there, lips tight, the phone still flashing beach photos. "So, no transfer." "No transfer." "Then cancel Saturday," she said. "I'm not doing dinner with your friends to listen to money sermons." "Already canceled," I told her. "I'm not dragging you somewhere you don't want to be so you can roll your eyes. I'll take Kyle to the game instead." She snorted. "Of course. Boys Club. Cheaper than a beach cabana." Her jaw clenched. She slid the phone into her pocket and walked down the hall without touching the food. I ate alone. The house felt like a hotel lobby. Polished surfaces, quiet and temporary. The next morning, she left a note under my coffee mug. "If you want a roommate, get one that pays rent." Under it, a link to sandals and a winking emoji. I didn't reply. I moved the joint credit card to the safe and sent her a new debit card tied to a fixed allowance for groceries and joint errands. Not punishment, structure. I put it on an email thread with simple bullet points. Then I went to work. At lunch, Kyle leaned in my office doorway. Kyle's my oldest friend and part-time sales guy when his contractor gig slows down. "You look like a guy who poked a nest." "I separated accounts," I said, sliding a spreadsheet across. She called it control. "It's oxygen for people who want your wallet," he said. "They call boundaries smoke." "You sure you're up for the blowback?" "Grown-ups don't need blowback to handle money," I answered. "We'll see what category we're in." He whistled. "Bring a helmet." I brought a plan. 2 nights later, she put on a silk top and heels for dinner with her friend group. I was tightening a hinge on the pantry door. "I'll be late," she tossed over her shoulder. "So don't wait up." I straightened. "I'm not waiting. I'm working early tomorrow. I'll be out before 7. She paused. "You always do breakfast on Saturdays." "New schedule," I told her. "Got a permit inspection window. I'm taking it. So now I adjust my life because you're what mad?" "You adjust your life because we live in the same home," I said, wiping my hands. "And because I'm matching effort to respect. You want the old routines? Try the old respect." She rolled her eyes and left without another word. I let the hinges hang open and wrote myself a note. Do not make speeches. Do not appeal. Change logistics. I put the note in my wallet where the card used to be. By Sunday, the reaction came. She sat at the table with a glass of water and said, very calm, "I'm sorry for asking at a bad time. I should have asked you how your day was first." I nodded. "Thank you. I cooked last night," she added. "You were out." "I ate with my dad after the inspection. I missed it." "So maybe you move the inspection next time," she tried, light smile. I was trying. "I see that," I said. I didn't rush in with flowers. I didn't melt. I waited. She traced the rim of her glass. Can we at least do the Colorado trip with Melissa and Ben? It's already on the calendar. I'll update you in 2 weeks, I told her. Budget review, then decisions. We're not committing to anything major right now. Her eyes flickered. You really are doubling down. On clarity, yes. She reached across the table and touched my wrist. A soft touch I hadn't seen in months. I want us normal again. Same, I said. Normal means love doesn't arrive with a price tag code. Show me that, and we're talking. She withdrew her hand, grabbed her water, stood up. Then I'll show you. I wanted to believe her. For 3 days, she was almost warm. She asked if I slept okay. She left a note that said, "Good luck with the client meeting." She even put new towels in the bathroom and said she found a deal. On night 4, she slid in beside me on the couch, head on my shoulder, and murmured, "I miss us." I rested my hand near hers. "I miss us too." "Then let me book something small," she said into my sleeve, light as a feather. "Just a long weekend. We'll reconnect. I'll cover my part." "What's your part?" I asked. "Gas," she said, then sat up, playful. "I'm kidding." "You're not," I said. "But I'll pretend you are. The answer's the same. 2 weeks. We look at the numbers. If you're here for me, you can wait." She gave me a smile that didn't reach her eyes. 2 weeks. The text started the next day. A yoga studio friend, name popping up on her screen with hearts. A photo of champagne flutes. "You deserve the good life," comment under a picture she posted of her nails. The good life looked like it didn't include me unless I was wiring it. That Friday, she joined me at a barbecue at Kyle's place. The guys were talking about trucks and kids. She slid into the conversation and dropped, loud enough for the group, "He's cutting my card like I'm a teenager." Can you believe it? Kyle shot me a look. I took a sip of soda and answered, calm. "We funded a lot of fun, not a lot of us." I'm correcting the ratio. One of Kyle's neighbors, Janet, smirked. "Good luck with that. Girls' math always wins." My wife laughed with her. "Tell him." "Janet," I said, "my math is the only math paying my mortgage. It'll be fine." The air cooled around us. My wife turned toward me, smile sharp. "So you'll announce rules at parties now?" "I'll announce them wherever the invoice is public," I replied. "You bring the bill to a barbecue. You get the barcode in front of the grill." Kyle coughed to cover a laugh. Janet said nothing. My wife shook her head and walked to the other side of the yard. I glanced at Kyle. He murmured, "Boundary set. Witnessed." On the drive home, she stared out the window. "You humiliated me." "You volunteered," I said. "You could have talked to me later." "We had later," I answered. "We had kitchen tables and Tuesdays. You chose the grill." "Keep punishing me and you'll get what you're asking for," she said. "What am I asking for?" I asked. "Distance." "Then we agree," I said. "Let's make it official. Separate calendars. You send me what matters for the house. I'll meet you there. Everything else, we'll see." She didn't respond. The next morning, she was up early, humming in the kitchen. She made pancakes. She set a plate in front of me like it was 2018 and we were still us. "I'm going to the farmer's market," she said. "Do you need anything?" "Just honesty," I said, cutting into the pancakes. "And maybe some tomatoes." She straightened a dish towel. "You'll get that." She didn't buy tomatoes. She came home with a leather bag and a story about a flash sale. The receipt stuck out of the bag with a number that wasn't a flash anything. I didn't raise my voice. I folded the receipt and slid it into a folder with the others. Documentation is not bitterness, it's gravity. By Wednesday, the warmth cooled again. She slept at the edge of the bed and turned off when I reached out. The only time she touched my arm was when she wanted a code for a package pickup. Thursday afternoon, I was at the shop with Marcus, a logistics guy I'd been courting to run operations. The shop's a long box with epoxy floors, metal racks, and a whiteboard with arrows and margins. We'd built my company slow, out of a garage, then a rented unit, then this. It wasn't flashy. It kept the lights on. It was mine. Marcus tapped the whiteboard. "If you want to scale, you need to stop spending your mornings chasing parts." "I know," I said. "I need you here." "Then write it down," he said, grinning. "Make me a real offer." My phone buzzed. A new text previewed across the screen from my wife. It wasn't a question. It was a block of text and 2 attachments. The message read, "Lawyer says I get half your business. Locks changed. Papers tomorrow." Under it, A PDF that looked like a valuation sheet pulled off a napkin, numbers based on last quarter's revenue. Then a chat screenshot where she'd written to someone, "Thanks for building my retirement." I read it twice. Then I read it again. Marcus watched my face. "Problem?" "Not anymore," I said. "What do you need?" "A business attorney on my side of town," I answered. "And your W-2 ready if you still want this job." He nodded slowly. "I do. And I've got a guy, Elaine. Sharp. No nonsense." I opened a new message thread to my wife. I typed exactly 2 words and hit send. "Ni za что." Marcus squinted at my phone. "What's that mean?" "It means, you're welcome," I said, sliding the phone into my pocket. "Now let's get to work." The next 72 hours were a machine. Elaine sat across from me in her glass-walled office and didn't blink when I gave her the text. "You're going to see accusations of moving assets," she said. "They'll say you hid things." "Have you?" "No," I answered. "But I don't intend to keep my current structure. I want an adult company. Real governance. Actual oversight. I want to pay off the predatory loan that's strangling our cash flow." "Then we do it by the book," she said. "We wind down the LLC with debt attached. We form a new corporation with new capital. We keep records pristine. We notify her counsel. We document every step." "I'll bring capital," I told her. "From my father. He wants in." She looked up. "How much?" "Enough to remove the loan and fund operations. He takes 65% voting control. I hold 35. Marcus becomes operations director with equity incentives. I'm CEO in title but run product and sales." She clicked her pen. "You're serious?" "I'm done being a hobby," I said. "In 2 days, I want the paper drawn." "You'll need to accept that your share is minority," she warned. "You okay with that?" "It's safer," I replied. "If someone wants half my business, they can take half of 35% after debt. If they can find it." Elaine nodded once. "I'll draft. You gather documents." I gathered. That afternoon I sat with my dad, Frank, at his kitchen table. He's a retired machinist who still measures napkins with his fingers. He slid a cashier's check across the table without a speech. "Control stays with the money," he said. "I'll hold it until you show me quarterly numbers and cash flow discipline. Then we talk about buybacks." "I'm good with that." He poured coffee. "You sure you want to keep the shop? You can walk." "I built it," I said. "And I'm not letting someone's mood take it from me. I'll make it professional, not personal." He grunted approval. "Then do it fast." Day 2, we filed articles for the corporation, executed a contribution agreement from my father, and signed a purchase of assets contract that transferred equipment and IP from the old LLC to the new corporation at fair market value, debt excluded, with notice to all secured parties. We simultaneously filed for dissolution of the LLC subject to its debts and placed the predatory loan on a payoff schedule funded by the new capital. Elaine wrote letters to my wife's attorney with timestamps and receipts. "Please be advised, restructuring for legitimate business purposes. Debts remain with the dissolving entity. Client retains minority stake in new corporation. Details attached." I hired Marcus as operations director with a clear salary, performance targets, and authority over vendors. We updated terms with our largest client, including a compliance audit scheduled for Monday. I didn't hide from it. I invited it. If someone planned to whisper to my clients that I was running games, I'd rather meet the whisper with a checklist. Late that night, I changed the business locks, not at home, at the shop, and emailed my wife that access to business premises was now restricted to employees for insurance reasons. I wasn't being cute. I was making adult moves. On day 3, I paid off the expensive credit line, signed vendor agreements under the new corporation, and documented every change in a shared folder. I printed a copy for Elaine, sent a summary to my wife's lawyer, and put a hard copy in a safe. When my wife texted, "You're hiding assets," I answered, "I'm restructuring a company." When her mother called me a disgrace, I let it go to voicemail. That afternoon, my phone rang with an unknown number. The voice claimed to be from a state office, asking if I'd like to explain some concerns. I asked for a callback number and a badge ID. The line clicked. I wrote a note. Anonymous calls followed to my main client, forwarding allegations of fraud. The client's compliance lead, a blunt woman named Laura, called me directly. "We're hearing you moved assets to avoid your wife. We restructured to remove toxic debt and professionalize operations, I said. You're welcome to see the documents. Elaine will send them. We're clean. If anything is off, cut us. But look first. I'll send my team Monday, she said. Be ready. I will, I said. And Laura, if you get more anonymous tips, please forward. I like a paper trail. She chuckled once. That's why we still work with you. After I hung up, my phone buzzed again and again. Text from my wife's lawyer. Fraudulent conveyance. We will seek to reverse. You're making this worse for yourself. I forwarded them to Elaine. She replied with one line. Let them try. That evening, my wife finally called. Her voice was sugar. I went too far, she said. Let's talk. I don't want war. It's not war, I answered. It's housekeeping. Don't be cold, she whispered. I made pancakes, remember? You made a plan, I said. You executed it. I'm executing mine. If you want to talk settlement, have your lawyer email mine. If you want to talk us, show up without demands. I'm trying to, she insisted. Can I come by? I can bring dinner. Meet me at the coffee shop on Oak, I told her. Public place. 20 minutes. No money talk. That's insulting. It's a boundary. She hung up. She showed up anyway, an hour later, wearing that silk top again, holding a bakery box like a peace treaty. She stood in my doorway and lifted the box a little. Peach pie, she said. Your favorite. I blocked the door with my hand on the frame. We're not doing drop-bys. I baked, she insisted. You can't be cruel. I can be clear, I said. Coffee shop or nothing. Her eyes flashed. You used to beg me to stay. I evolved, I said. Good night. She lowered the box slowly. You will pay for this. I'm already paying, I said. Just not in the currency you're used to. She left the pie on the porch step and walked away. I left it there until morning and then gave it to the guys at the shop. Marcus took a bite and said, heavy on the crust, light on the fruit. Appropriate, I said. Monday, Laura's compliance team came through with clipboards and hard faces. We gave them binders, timelines, emails, copies of checks, dissolution filings, corporate bylaws. Laura flipped pages with satisfaction. If you were hiding anything, you're bad at it, she said dryly. I'm hiding nothing, I replied. We're in the open. That afternoon, we got the email. Continued vendor status approved. 10 minutes later, my wife sent a screenshot from her mother. He's manipulating everyone. Tell them the real story. 5 minutes after that, my wife's yoga studio friend posted a status online about men who starve their partners, then play victim. Comments piled up. A cousin texted me, not cool, man. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I wrote nothing. Then I printed the post for Elaine's folder and went back to work. 2 weeks later, we all sat in a room that smelled like carpet and recycled air. Her lawyer wore a tie too tight for his neck and used words like half, like they were holy. Mine used words like capital structure and encumbrances like she was describing weather. My wife sat with her arms crossed, her mother behind her, and the yoga friend in the back row like a moral support plant. Her lawyer opened with volume. Our client is owed 50% of the business, which he admitted to building during marriage. His sudden restructuring is a transparent attempt to deprive her of fair value. We have valuation based on revenue. Elaine didn't raise her voice. Your valuation ignores debt. It ignores control. It ignores the fact that the old entity is being dissolved with its obligations. It ignores the new capital injection from a third party who now holds majority control. My client has 35% of the new corporation. We brought an expert to value that stake net of debt. Her lawyer barked, fraudulent conveyance. Elaine slid a binder forward. Timing, notice, consideration, and purpose are all documented. This was a legitimate business restructuring. Creditors were not harmed. In fact, a predatory line was paid off. Operations were professionalized. Here are the receipts. Here is the compliance approval from the largest customer. He scoffed. He's gaming the system. Elaine smiled slightly. He's using it. The judge, calm, bored, a person who's seen every version of people trying to hurt each other with spreadsheets, looked at our expert, a CPA named Patel who lived on numbers and coffee. Patel adjusted his glasses. Debt at the time of dissolution, $180,000. New capital, significant and outside marital assets. Control, not with your client. Valuation of his 35% stake after adjustments, approximately $38,000. Her lawyer sputtered. This is absurd. He has trucks, equipment, sold at arm's length to the new corporation for fair value, Patel said. Cash went to the old entity. Debt stayed with the old entity. The new corporation is a separate legal person with new owners and governance. Your valuation sheet is a revenue fantasy. My wife turned to her mother. The mother's mouth was a line. The yoga friend stared at the ceiling like she saw her weekend plans evaporate. Her lawyer tried another angle. Even if His Honor accepts this stunt, our client is entitled to half of the prior entity. The judge rubbed his forehead. There's nothing left in the prior entity except debt. The restructuring appears legitimate and well-documented. We are dividing the marital portion of Mr. Carter's interest in the new corporation, not half of the company itself. My wife's face went cold. He owes me half. The judge didn't even look up. What he owes is what the law says, not your vocabulary. House split 50-50. Vehicle to her. Marital portion of his business interest, $19,000. Each keeps their separate personal accounts and items. Counsel will draft. Her lawyer tried to argue. The judge's pen tapped the file. Ruling stands. It took 15 minutes to drain 2 months of theater. We shuffled out. In the hallway, her mother hissed at me. You ruined our family for money. I looked at Elaine. She shook her head, just a hair. I kept my mouth shut. Outside, under a gray sky that didn't care about any of us, my wife caught up to me by the steps. You did this, she said. You turned love into an invoice. I looked at the street, at the cars crawling by, at a woman juggling coffee and a toddler and a purse bigger than her torso. Then I looked back at my wife. I turned disrespect into numbers, I said. Numbers don't lie. She stepped closer. You could still fix this. I already did, I said. She stared at me like a stranger passing on the sidewalk. Then she walked to her mother's car without looking back. I paid the $19,000. I signed the house papers. I sent my portion of closing costs the same day and moved into a small brick place across town with a 1-car garage and a tree that dumps leaves like confetti every week. I bought a used pickup, not the shiny thing her friends post selfies with, just a reliable engine and a bed that hauls what I need. I replaced my old kitchen table with a butcher block top big enough for plans and blueprints. I put a coffee maker on a timer. Clichés don't fix anything, but coffee at 6 helps. She tried to spin the story online. There were phrases about emotional scarcity and he abandoned me and screenshots of quotes out of context. A couple of her relatives dropped griping comments under my business page. We made a statement once. Elaine wrote it and Laura signed it. That the company underwent a documented restructuring to strengthen operations and protect clients. We attached nothing emotional. Then we said nothing else because nothing else needed saying. Marcus and I hired another guy to handle deliveries. We landed a new contract with a property manager who liked Marcus's spreadsheets and my father's no-nonsense reputation. Dad signed off on the first quarter numbers with a grunt that meant continue. I started sleeping without waiting for a midnight door or a notification sound that made my stomach drop. A month later, she texted me a photo of a beach. Not the same one from the Cabana ad, just a stretch of water and a word bubble. This could have been us. It could have. It wasn't. I met someone new the quiet way, through Laura's team, actually. Her name's Erin. She runs compliance like a surgeon and laughs at my worst jokes, but only when they're actually funny. We go slow, because grown-ups go slow. We hike on Sundays. We make tacos on Thursdays and talk about things without turning them into weight. She pays for her own gas. When she buys a bottle of wine, she doesn't hold it up like a trophy. She opens it and pours 2 glasses and asks about the stupid hinge I'm always adjusting in my head. Dad came over one Saturday to watch a game on my beat-up couch. He looked around at the boxes I hadn't unpacked and said, "Looks like a work site." "Better than a war zone," I said. He glanced at me and nodded once. That's his version of a hug. 6 weeks after the ruling, my ex sent one more message. "You ruined the marriage over money." I looked at the screen and let the words sit. I thought about how many times she'd come home empty and only asked for transfers. I thought about the pancakes when she needed me compliant. I thought about the letter with locks changed. Papers tomorrow. The mock, "Thanks for building my retirement," and the calls designed to make me flinch. Then I thought about the whiteboard at the shop, the schedules that run on time now, the way Marcus checks boxes without me, the way my father holds his 65% like a shield, and a lesson. I thought about Aaron offering to bring sandwiches to the shop when I said I'd be there late, not asking for a thing. I typed nothing. The facts had already answered her. The last time I saw her was closing day at the house. She wore sunglasses inside and signed with quick, angry motions. When it was done, she picked up the key packet without meeting my eyes and walked out. I watched the door swing closed and didn't feel triumph. I felt finished. Back at the shop, Marcus had written on the whiteboard, "New contract, Wilton Estates. Start Monday." I drew a box around it and wrote underneath, "No credit cards for vacations. Ever." Marcus laughed. "Tattoo that somewhere." "On the company bylaws," I said. "Enough permanence." Dad showed up later with a pizza and a small metal sign he'd stamped in his garage with a handheld press. He set it on my desk. It read, "Control lives with the one who funds." I put it on the shelf where I keep the binders. It doesn't look cool. It looks true. At night, the new house is quiet. Aaron hasn't spent the night. That's not the point. The point is the silence isn't punishment anymore. It's air. I can hear my own thoughts, and they aren't about avoiding landmines. They're about inventory and delivery routes, and what I'll cook tomorrow that doesn't come in a takeout box. And sometimes they're about the guy I used to be, the one who thought love meant saying yes to everything until nothing was left. That guy needed a boundary more than anyone. He finally set one and stuck to it. So no, I didn't ruin a marriage over money. I ended a masquerade that used money as a leash. I ended it by documenting, restructuring, and executing, not by yelling. She lost the things she chased: control, comfort, status, because you can't hold what you didn't build. And I walked out without dramatics, because dramatics are for people still trying to be understood. This is the last thing I'll say about it. When a person shows you their home only for the delivery, stop delivering. If they want you back, they'll walk to your door and knock like a partner. If they want your wallet, they'll bring a lawyer. Either way, you'll know what to do. I did, and I'm good.